welcome back to another episode of the Tech Talks Daily podcast. I'm your host, Neil C. Hughes, and today we're going to be diving into the complex yet fascinating world of data centers, sustainability and efficiency, and much more. And I'm thrilled to introduce you to today's guest. Her name is Lynn Collier. She's the Global Solutions Manager for Digital Infrastructure at Hitachi Vantara. And today, Lynn will enlighten us about Hitachi's transformative work with a South African IT company called Gijima. We'll explore Hitachi's solutions and how they've greatly enhanced sustainability and efficiency in data centers without compromising performance, reliability, or disaster recovery, and much more. So if you're a business leader or a tech leader thinking about how your business can better understand and reduce your carbon footprint, you're going to enjoy this one. So buckle up and hold on tight, because it's time for me to beam your ears all the way to the UK, where you can join me and Lynn Collier in conversation now. So a massive warm welcome to the show, Lynn. Can you tell everyone listening a little about who you are and what you do?
Sure. Thanks, Neil. And thank you for having me on the podcast. A very exciting opportunity. My name is Lynn Collier, and I'm the Global Solutions Manager for Digital Infrastructure at Hitachi Vantara. I've been in my current role for coming on 7 months now, and prior to this, I was the Chief Operating Officer for UK and Ireland for nearly 6 years. And I have the pleasure right now of leading a team of technical experts who are based across EMEA, America, and APAC. And our role from a Hitachi perspective is really to take our strategic initiatives and the technology solutions that underpin those and translate them into some operational realities. And that means a lot of collaboration and showcasing our portfolio of solutions with our customers, and also an extensive ecosystem of partners. So a very exciting job, and one that I'm really, really privileged to be in, to be honest.
And I'd love to bring to life some of the work that you're doing here. Before you came on the podcast, I was doing a little research, and I came across Hitachi Vantara's work with Gijima. Can you tell me a little bit more about that and some of the challenges that they might have faced, and how your solutions address some of those problems?
Absolutely, yes. And we do have the opportunity to work with a lot of really exciting customers across a number of different industries. And Gijima is one of those really interesting customers that we've had the chance to work with. They're one of South Africa's leading ICT companies, and they're providing cloud infrastructure, IT, and outsourcing services, both for enterprise clients and small to medium businesses. It's a proudly 100% Black-owned company with level 1 BBBEE status. And they've got a state-of-the-art Tier 3 data center that hosts a lot of business-critical systems for many of their biggest clients. And when they acquired the data center they inherited most of the existing server and storage infrastructure that ran its client systems. And what they discovered was that much of that storage was coming to the end of its service life. And they decided that upgrading could dramatically improve performance and manageability. But they also needed to find a way to tackle that complex challenge of upgrades, which was migrating the data to the new storage arrays without disruption to their client systems. And that's no mean task, for sure. Moreover, they wanted to offer on-demand scalability for their customers at an attractive price point. So they were looking at both the technology side of things and also the commercial side of things, and wanted to find a partner that could offer such a flexible commercial model. They were looking for a storage solution to underpin the shared hybrid cloud platforms, which really span across x86 as well as mid-range platforms. And they needed something that would enable them to continue to improve services to clients on both the technical and commercial level. But they also wanted to have sustainability front and center in their mind. And Hitachi was really confident that we could help them with their capabilities to address those requirements. And partly that was underpinned not only by our confidence in our own solutions, but For 9 consecutive years, Neil, Hitachi's VSP storage platform has earned the highest rating for RAS, so reliability, availability and serviceability, in the Gartner Storage Critical Capability reports. And I felt that gave us a lot of confidence when speaking with Gijima about how we could help them. And any of these kind of engagements, they really are a collaboration. And we successfully deployed with Gijima Hitachi VSP systems at their production data center. And we also put in additional arrays for disaster recovery. And that helps significantly consolidate the physical infrastructure and free up some additional racks of space at the disaster recovery site. So the result is the new deployment provides a much smaller footprint, a considerable reduction in power consumption, and that in turn reduces the CO2 emissions and helps them not only address their sustainability goals, but also to save on ever-increasing energy costs.
And I'm so glad you mentioned sustainability there, because there does seem to be a huge corporate focus on sustainability goals now. And also, of course, combined with the rise of ESG scores. And a lot of businesses are starting to look at who they partner with based on these scores as well. And as a result, green tech is entering the mainstream now. So with data centers consuming significant amounts of electricity, I've got to ask, how is Hitachi Vantara enhancing data storage systems to improve both sustainability and efficiency? Because it's a big part of the conversation now, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And well over 50% of the conversations and RFPs that we work on with customers and our partners, sustainability is front and center for many of them. And if you read most companies' annual reports these days, there's always a section on their sustainability policy. So absolutely right. It is front and center on all of their considerations. And I think one of the ways that we were able to help was really because of how we approach the infrastructure from an eco-friendly perspective, if you like. We've got a whole range of innovative diagnostics and data-driven automation. But at the core, we design, develop and deliver data storage systems that consume up to 30 to 40% less energy at every release. And given that the VSP is also manufactured in Japan, that's known to produce pretty much 38% less CO2 than other major manufacturing locations. So it's not just about the product and what it can do, but it's about the whole supply chain and how that affects how we bring products to market. But I think the core thing is that what we do and how we approach it really allows organizations to continually lower their carbon footprint, but without compromising on performance. So from better technology, better management of the IT and carbon footprint. And then that means they can take a more holistic view to what they're doing with IT underpinning their business. The Storage Virtualization Operating System, or SVOS as we call it, can actually help reduce CO2 emissions with innovations such as enhanced data reduction technology. And that lets customers store more data on their purchase capacity. In some cases, that alone gives a 65% reduction in electricity consumption, which obviously reduces CO2 emissions significantly as well. And more importantly, on top of that, we can add storage virtualization, and we can apply those technologies to existing storage systems that customers may already have to help them achieve that same reduction rate. So not only are we bringing in our technology with a much lower energy usage and many tools and automation techniques to help customers build a better solution, but we can actually impart that capability in terms of data reduction onto existing assets, which has been really important for a number of the people that we deal with.
And in Gijima's case, when I was doing a bit of research, one of the standout stats for me was that they saw a 66% reduction in power cooling and space requirements after deploying Hitachi VSP systems. So can you elaborate on some of the tech behind these systems? Because I think there'll be a lot of business leaders wanting to find out more about that, and especially how it enables such significant reductions.
Yeah, for sure. And just before I do that, I think it's important to note that Hitachi Vantara is the only carbon footprint certified storage platform available with their Energy Star certification, which your listeners can look at if they pop onto our website. But back to Gijima, I mean, during the project, they successfully installed with us 2 Hitachi VSP 5000 series arrays at the production center, and then 2 VSP G700 arrays for their disaster recovery. These were all flash storage systems, which replaced the bulkier spinning disk arrays. So that significantly consolidated the physical infrastructure. And the result of that was it reduced from 9 racks down to 3 in production, and also freed up an additional 2 racks in the discovery site. So for the vast majority of these systems, the Gijima team was able to use non-disruptive migration, which is a feature of the Hitachi Storage Virtualization operating system, and also Hitachi True Copy remote replication software to transfer the data to the new array seamlessly, all without impacting their clients because there was no downtime. So they've upgraded their storage management software as well, adopting our Op Center software, which includes an administrator capability for the storage management, provisioning, an analysis or analyzer module for reporting and analytics, and also Protector for data protection and replication management. The team is also looking forward to using the Automator module, and that's going to streamline and automate more complex storage-related processes in the future. So thinking about managing the skills and capabilities, always ensuring that we're doing as much as we can to automate processes, adds over and above on that efficiency.
Love that. And I've got to ask as well, for any business leaders listening here, how did you manage to consolidate Gijima's physical infrastructure from 9 racks to 3? Sounds a phenomenal achievement. And also in doing so, what were the main benefits of such consolidation beyond the obvious space-saving elements there?
I think if we look at it from the systems side of things, we successfully identified with Gijima what the appropriate configuration and infrastructure would need to be. And we deployed those Hitachi VSP systems at production, as well as those additional arrays in disaster recovery. The all-flash storage systems were key to this because they replaced what were often those bulkier spinning disk arrays. And that did lead to the significant consolidation in the physical infrastructure, taking the racks down from 9 to 3 in production. The new deployment also, in providing a much smaller footprint, resulted in a considerable reduction in the power consumption. And again, that gave them their opportunity to reduce CO2 emissions and help Gijima manage and save on their overall energy costs. But generally speaking, high-performing machines like the newer VSP models hold more data, use less electricity versus older storage units. So fewer racks taking up less electricity ultimately means ongoing reduction in that carbon footprint. And as technology refreshes happen, we're committed to reducing the carbon emissions by between sort of 30 and 40% every time we bring a new version to the market.
And I think it's great talking about sustainability, fewer racks, using less electricity, reducing carbon emissions. But we will have a few IT people listening where their KPIs are all about resilience and disaster recovery, etc. So can you tell me about how additional arrays deployed by Gijima's site actually improve their disaster recovery capabilities too? There's nothing that needs to be exchanged at the expense of another, is there?
True. And you do have to look at it holistically. And I think that's one of the things that Hitachi Vantara does pride itself on, is looking at the main drivers for our customers' desire to refresh their technology, but also what does that mean, in the current industry status? And as you very rightly mentioned, disaster recovery, data protection, all very topical at the moment, especially with, the increase in ransomware and cybersecurity. So there's a range of ways that Gijima and its clients have experienced improved performance. So the physical consolidation of the infrastructure resulted in a 66% reduction in power, cooling and space, as we talked about a little bit before, with a similar impact on the disaster recovery side. And as energy efficient solutions are a priority for their clients, the company can highlight that its infrastructure is supporting those client sustainability goals. But then it comes to the overall management of the system and the other add-on benefits. And we were able to offer Gijima a way to save time and effort on storage management, thanks both to the reliability of the Hitachi hardware and also the intuitive storage management and analytics capabilities of the Ops Center module that I talked about before. So we can report on storage performance and capacity, and that it really is quite an onerous task, which before would have been quite manual, lots of extracts to spreadsheet, can be prone to human error. So getting that into a policy-based, templated way of looking at the storage and administering it is one thing. But also it can cut down the tasks involved in managing the storage for the clients down to a few mouse clicks rather than, a lot of different tools. But to the point that you raised earlier, particularly, the Ops Center Protector module makes it really easy to manage replication and backups with daily block level rolling snapshots for open systems and both synchronous and asynchronous replication for the mainframe. And all of these solutions work in tandem to improve disaster recovery capabilities. And then on top of that, as we move forward and look at what other threats may be approaching customers' operations and data centers, Hitachi prides itself on working with a really strong ecosystem of partners. So we can actually bring in best of breed alliance partner capabilities to complement what we do directly ourselves in the infrastructure and software realm.
And I think it's fair to say that corporate interest in sustainability and greener tech is only going to increase dramatically, not only this year, but throughout next year and beyond too. And I appreciate you can't reveal too much about upcoming sustainability-focused announcements, but I've got to cheekily ask, can you give us a sneak peek into the kind of things that Hitachi Vantara might have in store in the future? Is there any teasers you can leave us with?
Well, one thing I would say first, Neil, is that this isn't a new thing for Hitachi. Since 2014, every release of the VSP model has saved 23 kilograms of CO2 per terabyte. And that improves continuously, release on release. So that's a big thing. And I did mention, the manufacturing in Japan gives a significantly lower carbon footprint than manufacturing in other countries, which again is a real source of pride for us. And we will continue to innovate across the supply chain and how we bring our storage and our compute and our hybrid cloud capabilities to market. But it is an exciting time for Hitachi, and we've been working with a range of partners to help them deliver on their sustainability commitments. But we are doing a lot of research in this space as well. And we're very keen to understand corporate sustainability and what that really means in the operational world for our customers. So a lot of research ongoing at the moment. I can't say too much at this stage, but I know the findings from what we've done so far are looking really interesting. And I'm sure that we'll be able to share those insights with you and your listeners in the near future.
Love that. A teaser and an excuse for us to get you back on later this year. But
absolutely.
One thing that I have seen that's public out there that you might be able to tell me a little bit more about, and that is that you've developed a CO2 calculator tool. Can you tell me a little bit more about that, its purpose, and how it will benefit organisations in better assessing their environmental footprint?
Yeah, absolutely. So the tool was produced from a lot of the work that many of our professional services people have been doing out with our customers and our partners. And we brought that together into an interactive tool, which will give an organization the ability to examine their current data center carbon footprint. And from there, we can work with them to identify some steps that they can take to reduce their energy usage, all without sacrificing their storage needs. And ultimately, it will help organizations meet those sustainability goals without compromising in other areas of the business. And that is something that your listeners can take a look at on one of the links on our website.
So I'll add a link to that in the show notes. And finally, before I let you go, if we dare to gaze into a virtual crystal ball, what does the future look like to you? Can you possibly share a vision for the road ahead? There's enough doom and gloom on our news feeds at the moment. It'd be nice to read something positive.
Yeah. And for Hitachi, we're definitely in it for the long game, so to speak. We've been in existence in the broader Hitachi world since 1910. And if you look at the innovations that we have made from an engineering perspective, the kind of blue sky research that we've been doing back in Japan, and how we're bringing products to market, not just for the IT space and digital services, but also our industrial capabilities. We're looking at how we can combine further what we learn from our industry operational technologies and how we can apply what's required to help them be more efficient, more effective, more sustainable in the future by applying the digital technology that Hitachi Vantara particularly leads in the Hitachi portfolio. And we want to build on the success that we've already seen by expanding the initiatives that we're undertaking around sustainability and virtualization, and continue to work with our partners in countries and markets across the globe. We have got some really exciting things in the pipeline, and I'm looking forward to seeing how we can work with businesses to continue to drive innovation across multiple industries.
Well, a huge thank you for joining me on the podcast today. We did start learning more about you and your career, and as we come full circle, I'd love for us to look back on your career for a moment, because none of us are able to achieve any degree of success without a little help along the way. So I'm curious, is there a particular person that you're grateful towards? Maybe they saw something in you, maybe they invested some time, or maybe just helped get you where you are today. We'll give them a little shout out, a little virtual thank you. But who would that person be?
That is very true, Neil. We can't do this in isolation. We're part of an ecosystem professionally and personally. And I've been very lucky throughout my career to have a number of coaches and mentors along the way. But there's one individual in particular, Dr. Jeff Hodgins, who I met by chance at a sales event many years ago. And we talked about opportunities in technology sales in Australia and New Zealand. He was actually the VP of Storage Tech at the time. And he agreed to a follow-up call once we went away from the event, and subsequently gave me the opportunity to interview with his sales management team in Sydney. And I was able to secure a role there, so moving from the UK to Australia. But only after Jeff had quizzed me quite intensely on what my motivations were for moving, what I wanted to achieve, and why I would be open to such a dramatic change in my life. Primarily, it was because I wanted to stretch myself personally and professionally. But the opportunity and the belief that Jeff had in me really opened my eyes to the art of the possible. It gave me the confidence to try new things and to create a brand new network. And it really opened my eyes to my own strengths and motivators, and taught me so much. Moving to Australia, I had to learn how to live in a different country, but also the cultural differences that come from having an international role. The industry awareness I was able to gain, not just in the technology industry, but the industries of the customers I worked with. And also, I learned more about how companies work, what success looks like, and how we can learn so much from our mistakes. So I'll forever be grateful to Jeff, and hope in some small way that I'm able now to kind of feed forward that support and belief and pass it on to others.
Wow, what a beautiful story. Absolutely love that. A big shout out to Jeff. I think it's important to share these stories. We don't realise sometimes the impact that we can have on each other's lives. I've got to just take you back one last time to Australia there. What did you miss most about home when you was in Australia?
I didn't realise at the time, Neil, how much I loved history and the old buildings that we're so just privileged to have and live in when we move about Europe. But also being on a plane for 4 hours, as beautiful as Australia is, and it is a beautiful country. If you haven't been there, I would encourage your listeners to go visit. But you're still in Australia after 4 hours. And here in Europe, we have the opportunity to be in a completely different culture and a completely different environment, different food, with just 2 hours on a plane. So that flexibility, I guess, is what I miss the most.
Oh, brilliant. And before I let you go, we've talked about a lot of things today and bombarded people with a lot of information. So anyone that wants to dig a little bit deeper on this, maybe even contact your team, what's the best starting point for everything?
Yeah, so there's many resources available online via the Hitachi Vantara website. The listeners can easily access a whole range of case studies, blogs, and a lot of solutions information, a lot of information about Hitachi Vantara as well. Also, if they feel the urge, please do follow me on LinkedIn. If you are a customer or partner, we do have dedicated spaces on the website for the partner community as well, and they can explore how best we could work together too. So lots of different ways and a great sources information from the website, regardless of where you are in the world and what your particular interests are. I'm sure the listeners will find something there.
Well, I'll have those links to the show notes so people can find you nice and easily. I do think that due to explosive data growth, data centres all around the world are increasingly consuming large amounts of electricity. And it is becoming more imperative that companies enhance their data centres storage systems while also focusing on improving sustainability and efficiencies. And I think most business leaders listening to this podcast know this, but where to start without sacrificing performance, reliability, availability, disaster recovery, that's what keeps them up at night. So for me, we talked about your story with Jeff there and the impact that he had on you. And I think this conversation today about a South African IT company called Gijima that successfully has been on this path, identified and deployed, I think in this case it was Hitachi VSP systems, as its production data center and additional arrays for disaster recovery, the journey that they've been on and where they are now. I think that will help a lot of people sleep a little easier at night and maybe even follow in their path. But more than anything, thank you for sharing that and your powerful story with me today.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Neil. Thank you.
Huge thank you to our guest today, Lynn Collier, for joining us all and shedding a little light on Hitachi Vantara's remarkable work with Gijima there, and also that continuous strive for sustainability and efficiency in data centres. And for me, today's conversation reminds us that with innovation, we indeed can balance performance and sustainability. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I know it's a conversation that is frequently taking place inside more and more businesses of all sizes. So if you are starting to talk about sustainability, ESG scores in a corporate environment, I'd love to hear what you thought about today's conversation. Did it help you at all? Did you think we missed something? Because if we did, I'd love to get Lynn or somebody else or even you on the podcast to talk about what we missed. I think it's a conversation that's going to continue to grow over the next year or more. So as always, email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com. If you've got a comment, question, or you want to come and join me on here, just let me know. And equally, you can get me on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram. Just hold down that audio button, send me an audio message, type me a message if you're an old school. Whatever works for you is cool with me. But that's it from me. So a big thank you for listening as always. And until next time, don't be a stranger.